Hello everyone, and welcome back to the complete Prot Warrior guide for patch 7.3.2 going into Antorus. Now there are big changes to our rotation and the way we gear coming up on this patch. Now for secondary stats, the first thing you're going to need to do is hit the soft cap of 20%, which is going to enable you to have 5 casts of Shield Slam during your new tier set bonus. However, once you hit that 20%, you still want to maximize as much haste as you can get. So your stat priority is still going to be haste first, followed by mastery, and very closely followed by versatility. The last stat, critical strike, doesn't do much for us, so don't worry about critical strike. Now in terms of a talent build, we're going to have a very similar talent build that we did going into Tomb of Sargeras, except that we are no longer going to be vengeance weaving in this raid. So once you get your new 2-piece bonus, you're no longer going to have to use vengeance, and you're instead going to be using booming voice. We're going to be using all of our global cooldowns to spend and consume rage, and we're not going to have the extra global cooldowns necessary in order to properly vengeance weave. There's going to be so much rage generation and consumption, we just won't be able to keep up with that talent, so we're going to go ahead and drop it. Now let's go over the new rotation, which is more of a priority system than it is a rotation, because things are going to have different cooldowns and are going to vary a little bit based on RNG. So there is no exact rotation, but there is a priority system. Now the first thing we're going to check is all of our rage generators. So the first thing you're going to do is, if your Berserker Rage is up, you are going to go ahead and use that to generate rage. Following that, Demoralizing Shout is going to have a much shorter cooldown because of the amount of rage we're going to be generating and consuming thanks to anger management. So Berserker Rage comes first in the priority system, then use Demoralizing Shout if you don't need to hold on to it as a cooldown. After that, you're going to be using Battle Cry on cooldown, and it will be on a very short cooldown. At that point, you're going to be spamming Shield Slam as much as you can, and if you ever come to a point where Shield Slam is on cooldown, you no longer have Battle Cry up, then you're going to fill in the gaps with Thunderclap. Now while you're using this rotation and generating rage with all of this priority system, the main thing you're going to be using to consume rage is using Ignore Pain. Now it is off of the global cooldown system, so just go ahead and use it whenever you can. You don't want to overcap, which capping Ignore Pain is at 3 maximum stacks of Ignore Pain, which is a total of 180 rage used on Ignore Pain. So try not to overcap while still using all of the rage that you have. And you can use Ignore Pain without having a full 60 rage at any time. Since we're not using Vengeance, Ignore Pain is going to be linear now. The only other thing that you're going to be using that consumes rage is using Shield Block at any moment that you need to have that active mitigation up. Now let's move on to Legendaries. In terms of Legendaries, they are changing quite a bit. Our 2 new best in slot legendaries are going to be the belt. Since we pick up booming voice, this belt is going to help us a lot more with that kind of playstyle. And the ring, Walls Fell, which is going to generate more rage and give us a shorter shield wall cooldown, increasing our throughput and increasing our survivability by giving us our strongest cooldown on a shorter time. You can still use the bracers in case you feel like you need more self-healing. So for more self-healing and survivability, I would go with Walls Fell and bracers, and for a more overall build, I would go with the belt and Walls Fell. Now in terms of gear and what we really want to aim for, ideally what we want is a 4-piece of tier 20, which is what drops in Tomb of Sargeras, and a 2-piece of tier 21, which is the new tier set in Antorus. What this is going to let us do is generate more rage from Berserker Rage, have a reduced cooldown on our rage generation abilities, and give us the ability to spam Shield Slam, which is our biggest rage generator, with a very short cooldown thanks to anger management. Now I realize that by keeping an old tier set and a new tier set, we are going to be dropping some item levels, but it is absolutely worth it once you see how much rage you're generating. Now how will all this prepare us for Antorus as Prot Warriors? Well, Antorus is going to have a lot of physical blockable damage, so this is going to give us shorter cooldowns, a more immediate access to Ignore Pain whenever we want it, and for any kind of burst damage or magic damage that we're going to be taking, we are going to have those cooldowns ready to go and offhand, which is going to make us very good tanks having shorter cooldowns. And a bigger focus on Ignore Pain and that type of mitigation is going to help us mitigate any kind of damage that is coming in consistently. Now our playstyle is changing a lot for Prot Warriors, but overall it is absolutely a buff, and overall it will increase our survivability. It's going to offer us an on-call cooldown system and fast mitigation options with how much rage we're going to be generating. Now I hope you are all as excited as I am for Antorus. Keep an eye out for Prot Warriors. We are definitely going to be moving up in terms of tank ranking. Thank you all for watching, and as always, good luck tanking out there.